Now, the Subway Final Word.
Certainly, I thought our guys got on edge way too quick in the game, right away, and certainly penalties and 10-minute misconducts that killed us tonight.
It did indeed. Welcome back to the Subway Final Word. Team discipline just imploded again today for the Pittsburgh Penguins. 64 penalty minutes and a 5-1 loss to the Red Wings. 4 game misconducts, including 2 against Steve Downey. That's more than an entire game. We've seen this in the playoff series before with the Pens. Does the Penguins' mental makeup concern you after a near collapse against the Oilers and a debacle today? Rob?
Concerns me. I've been concerned about it all year. I think they've fixed a lot of pieces around, but I don't think they've actually changed the fundamental problem with them. They lack accountability, and often they act like petulant brats when it comes to situations where they need to be responsible adults on the ice. It's been their biggest downfall in addition to not scoring, and I'm sure that's a problem of theirs too. But this idea that the Penguins have changed, have eradicated from their DNA this thing that they have, which is that they cannot stay composed. We haven't seen any evidence that they have done that.
Patricia tweets, Penguins ownership did nothing to help this team. The players need to grow up, including Sid. They just don't have it. Your thoughts on this, John?
Well, I don't. They didn't win. They didn't beat the Rangers and go to the conference final last year. But I don't. Maybe my memory's not that good, but I don't think back to last year and think that they didn't progress far enough in the playoffs because of petulance or immaturity or not being under control. They just didn't score enough goals. If they score enough goals, nobody cares who gets punched in the face or what you say to the referee. Score 5 goals today, nobody cares how many penalties you have. I know that determines how many goals you score sometime because guys aren't on the ice. They're in the penalty box like that right there. But I just don't think there's enough evidence right now to indicate that that's a major problem with this team.
Mark?
It can definitely be a major problem if it occurs in the postseason like it did in 2012 when they emotionally collapsed against the Flyers and were drummed out of the playoffs in the first round because of it. But Rossi's right. The GM, the coaches, they can't make this team more mature. Only the players can grow up on their own. They're grown men. They need to be less petulant. But I don't see today as a major problem. I see it as hopefully the exception and not the rule. For the last 5 years, what's happened in the regular season has meant nothing. Why don't we look at today and say, okay, don't let it happen again. If it does in a month, then that's the problem. But I see today as they're not as mature as they should be, but nonetheless, an isolated incident.
Now, staying with the Penguins, they've been struggling to score against good teams. In the last 5 games, they've only scored more than 1 goal against Edmonton. How much of a concern is the Penguins' lack of scoring against playoff caliber teams, John?
Well, I don't know if anybody's noticed, but nobody's scoring against anybody in the NHL these days. Goals are down for everybody. If you score 2 goals, you've really gone crazy in the NHL in 2015. Yeah, they got to score more goals, but what happened to the mentality that you got to get prepared for the playoffs, and it's all about about the goals you don't give up, and you can't be worrying about going out there and being a high-flying offense and playing good defense. That's what I thought we were supposed to be watching with this team, was its ability to keep games close, stay in games, play a smart game, and not let the other team score. That usually happens when you have a good goaltender, and I think Crosby's showing signs that he's starting to really come on. I don't think scoring is going to be a problem for him.
From Facebook, Ken Strauss says, it's been a concern all season. The Pens need to put more pressure on opponents during the power play. Mark, what's with the scoring issues against good teams?
The power play stinks. That's the single biggest problem they have in terms of scoring goals. It's been awful since November, and that's not coaching. That's stubbornness on the part of the primary players on the power play. In terms of what they're doing 5-on-5, their styles vanished. They've become just another bunch of chip and chase jabronis. They have no style. Their entry into the zone is clumsy. They settle for dumping far too often. They are not utilizing their talent to the best of their ability. Now, Staggy said, ain't this all about playing playoff hockey, winning those 2-1 games? Well, maybe it is. But if they go in the playoffs and play this way, don't play high octane, and lose 2-1 games, then there's no point in having both superstars, and I think you got to trade one in the offseason. If you're going to play that way, you just don't need both of them.
Rob?
Well, Mark's right. They lack an identity right now. This was a team, this was an organization that talked about wanting to press, wanting to be a puck possession team, but not in the chip and chase variety, wanting to be a team that carried the puck into the zone. They are not that right now. This is a team that's general manager went out and got 2 puck-moving defensemen at the trade deadline, and I can't figure out for the life of me why you make those moves if you're going to have the forwards playing the way you are. I think the Penguins look a bit lost right now, and what worries me most about them is they play a bunch of bad teams going down the stretch. And traditionally, even this year, against bad teams, the Penguins have allowed bad habits to creep into their game. And I'm not sure he isn't, but I'm not sure that Mike Johnston is the coach to prevent bad habits from slipping into this team's game. I frankly wonder if some of the best players are listening to him.
Now the NCAA tournament is set. Robert Morris will be in a play-in game on Wednesday. West Virginia is a 5 seed. Where does March Madness rank in sports playoff formats versus the NFL, NHL, and baseball? Mark, what's your favorite format?
I love the NCAA format because I don't care at all about it, but single elimination is entertaining no matter what the sport is. Keep in mind, the object of the NCAA tournament, being single elimination, is not to make sure the best team wins. It's to take basketball everywhere. It's to give lesser teams and lesser conferences a chance to feel like they're among the elite, even if it is only for one game.
From Twitter, Andy says March Madness is by far the best, as most people don't have a favorite team. They all pull together for the upsets. Is this format the most appealing to the casual sports fan, Rob?
Well, I don't root for the upsets. I write in the Trib tomorrow that I hate the upsets. I like the chalk. Go with the chalk, baby. I like to see great teams play later in the postseason. The problem with all of these tournaments, whether it's single elimination like the NCAA, the Stanley Cup playoffs, the NFL tournament, they've added too many rounds, and that's diluted the whole process. The best team doesn't win anymore, and I hate it. And if the fans like it, tough. You're wrong, fans. This stinks.
John?
I think the best team's going to win this one. I think it's going to be Kentucky, but I think it's the most overrated thing in sports, especially the idea that there's all these spectacular upsets at the bottom of the seeds. The bottom 4 seeds are a grand total of 59 and 480 since they started playing with 64 teams. The bottom 2 are 6 and 240. Robert Morris should be playing a game in a tournament this week that they can win. They should be playing an opening round game in a tournament that they can win, that their students can get behind and maybe make a long run and maybe cut down a net and win a championship. The NCAA tournament is about brackets. If they made brackets illegal tomorrow, the ratings would go, the discussion of the tournament would decrease by 80%.
Robert Morris, by the way, takes on North Florida, coached by Matt Driscoll of Northgate. Up next, the final word on Pittsburgh sports. Any topic is fair game on the Subway. Final word next.